All right, my friends, a little bit of an update on Shawn's mom. My man Jerry had pointed out a pretty actually good observation. He said he noticed when we did the allocation, when we switched it from this target account, not this target, the current account, which is 20% equities, 30% bonds, and 35% cash, to the growth, it reduced everything from cash and only put it to 2% cash. And that was one of the reasons, actually, we got this nice retirement. Let me sure what I'm talking about. Increase in the ability to survive. So it went from 2% to 52% in the ability to survive because we have less cash. And that's absolutely true. I mean, there's no other way around that. And that's actually not what I'm shooting for, because under this proposed plan, and this is again the target allocation is the proposed plan. It's what they're saying on the proposed plan is we're going to 43% equities, 18% international, 23% bonds, and 2% cash. And I literally don't want that. I don't want 2% cash. I want basically I want 3 years of cash essentially. Now the drawback is what will happen on these on Right Capital and almost any software that I'm aware of is when you do cash flows, it's going to say where's the money going to come from, and it's going to come from your taxable account first, then your tax deferred account, and then your tax free. So it's going to come from your taxable, from your IRA, then your IRA slash 401k, and then your Roth. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to come from an aggregate portfolio where it takes some from cash, some from stocks, some from bonds. So that's not what I'm shooting for. I want it to come from cash first for the first 3 years, and then from stocks. And because it's aggregated everything into this one big portfolio, basically is replacing bonds with cash. That's not what I'm shooting for. I don't want to replace bonds with cash in this regard. So what we need to do is we need to change this around a little bit to make sure that the portfolio can take it from the cash accounts first and then the equity accounts, the investment accounts. And what we're going to do in that regard is we're going to move this investment account and we're going to make it a Roth IRA. Now, some people say, oh, you can't do that because it's tax, Roths are tax free, and her account is a taxable account, is not tax free. It is tax free. The dividends, the capital gains are completely tax free, and any interest she gets off it will most likely be tax free simply because her standard deduction is $12,000, and she's not going to generate $12,000 of capital gains and income. It's just not going to happen. And a bulk of this will be just return of principal anyway from a capital gain perspective, because she's inheriting the cost basis of what she did from her ex-husband. So essentially it is tax free. It is. I mean, so if you have a account that's not in a IRA or Roth IRA, and you don't have to pay tax on that account because your tax bracket is still in the 12% tax bracket, that is essentially the same thing as a Roth IRA. So we're going to switch this to a Roth to show you the difference between taking it from one account and then taking it from another, if that makes sense, in terms of we want to attack the cash first, and then we want to attack the investments. In this case, where the cash will be solely in the taxable accounts and the investments will be in the Roth. So let me show you what I'm talking about when we go here. And what we're going to show you here is that we're going to say cash flows. All right. And so again, now we're going to take it from, we're going to do accounts. Now we're taking it from the taxable account first. All right. So here we have it coming from the taxable account, and that's 102,000, 85,000. So actually, that's not what I want to show you. The withdrawals from that account. You can see it's coming from the taxable account, 36,000, 24. Actually, you know what I got to do? Hold on just a second. I go back. Hold on. Bear with me just a second. I got to change something around here. Even different here, as I said, okay, we want to separate the account, the investment accounts from the cash. And we're going to do that by two things. One is we're not going to include the cash in the overall investment portfolio. And two, we're going to make the investment portfolio in a separate account. So the capital, the Right Capital software will know to pick out the cash first, and then we'll go into the taxable or the tax-free account, the Roth. That way it can allow the investments to continue to grow. So here we still have the same probability of success, which is fine. But let's go back to cash flows. Let me just check my clock. Okay, good. And so we want to go to accounts. And we have the taxable accounts, 102,000, and we have the Roth IRA, which is the taxable investment accounts. But the taxable accounts are cash. The investments accounts are being allocated as a Roth IRA, just so the software doesn't pick out of these accounts initially. So we're drawing down the taxable accounts first. There we go. Withdrawal from accounts. We got 36,000, 24,000, 24. That's when Social Security kicks in, and we're drawing down those. And then then those accounts are exhausted. Now we're going to draw down the investment accounts. And as you can see, we draw them down essentially until she dies. And so that works real well, actually. So let me just go back to analysis. Still has a 52% proposed. I'm curious, what happens if we made that investment account actually, instead of the Wellington, make it all U.S. stocks? I wonder if that will do anything, because again, it changes a little bit. So I'm changing quite a bit, actually. So I'm not sure I'd make that recommendation right out of the gate. But what we've done here is we've had two definitive types of accounts. We got the cash account, which is the money's going to pull from. And so like Gary was talking about, Jerry, when you did the allocation, and he made that notice, he goes, look, it looks like it's taking out all your cash. It is, because what I'm doing here is I'm saying, look, I want to separate the cash. So I'm not including the cash as part of the investment scenario here. And I did that the other video. I had it as part of the investment scenario. So everything was being invested. And I don't want that. I want the cash to be its own unique investment sitting there on the side. I do not want cash as being part of the investment scenario. And you'll see what happened when I changed out the cash. It went from it's 1.4 cash now to, I think it was like 30% before. And that's simply because cash is its own investment bucket. I hope that makes sense. So good observation, Jerry. I did not want the cash to be included in the investments. I want to be included as its own unique investment, essentially. And then I did not want the cash. I didn't want the investments to be tapped into until the cash was exhausted. And that's what we've done now. We said, look, exclude the cash from the overall investment portfolio. And what we'll see here, if we do that, the ability on a Wellington type of account that's basically 30/60 to have a probability of success is minimal. It's 2%. Now, if we change that over to a Wellington type of account, which is a growth account, 70/30, that goes from 2% to 70 to, what is that, 52%? Yeah. And if we change it to a more stock-oriented account, it's all U.S. stocks, that it makes it even better. It goes to, I think it was 70. What was it, 70? 60%. So either way, I'm pretty comfortable with 52 and 60. I'd actually still stay with a Wellington type account, not the all aggressive account, simply because at the end of the day, my man Shawn isn't worried about getting an inheritance. I mean, he'd love to get it, don't get me wrong, but he's mostly worried about his mom being able to sustain herself for years to come. And while this $123,000 inheritance that he would get at her death looks appealing, that might not be appealing if she has a 40% decline in the markets like we've seen in 2001 and 2, and then again in 2008. So we're just going to stick with a Wellington type of fund here. And while it has a lower probability of success, not much lower, and it still has a median return of a positive number, which is comforting. So anyway, I hope this helps. Good point, Jerry. Much appreciate that. At the end of the day, we need to keep 3 years of cash and then the rest invested. Don't tap into the investments until the cash is exhausted. And then I'm pretty comfortable with a plan for Shawn's mom. Don't forget to subscribe down below. As always, thumbs up, comments, questions, the whole thing. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.